how to focus to become a faster language learner and better student overall. So, this is a video I have been working on for a little bit. It's kind of been, while I've been doing other stuff, this has been kind of a big PowerPoint I've been working on. It's not big, but yeah, it's important because I think it needs to be talked about, basically. So, what is focus? Focus is the skill of concentrating on a task so as to maximize performance. And I think a lot of people, they underrate focus as to how important it is, and two, they don't actually have it, which is not just the problem with language learning, but also the problem with learning full stop, and why people are just so bad at learning things. So yeah, focus is the most important tool in learning, be it language learning or any discipline, and the inability to focus is more than likely, it's definitely stalling your progress. So if you have problems with language learning, you can't remember things, you have like extreme difficulty learning things, you find it difficult to talk quickly, even though obviously that is difficult in and of itself. If you find it difficult to read without parallel text, again, obviously all of these things are going to be difficult to begin with, but if you think you are struggling with them, which likely you are, and literally anything with language learning that requires you to remember things, you likely have a focus problem, and most people do, so it's not uncommon and there's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, if you're slow down your dialogue as well, if you have to talk really slowly as well as listen slowly, yeah, I think this video is for you. I've kind of just written down a bunch of assumptions, but then they're not really important because, to be honest, everyone struggles from focus issues in the modern age, and even if you're not watching this video for language learning, you would still benefit from reading how I'm going to actually tell you to improve your focus. So yeah, those who can learn to focus 100% will learn and perform at a much higher level than those who can't. That's just a fact. So how do you improve your focus? Before I get into that, I'd also like to say about how I've improved my focus personally. So my focus used to be probably not the worst because I didn't watch much TikTok or anything like that, but it was pretty bad, as in this might even remind you of you when I'm studying, for example. Like, I would just get up, walk around randomly, touch random parts of the room. I don't know why. I could not sit still and do work. I didn't have ADHD. I would just think, oh yeah, I forgot to do this before, and I would go and do it instead of disciplining myself to not go and do it later. I would just think, oh yeah, I forgot to do X, Y, and Z and have to go do that. And a million other things that interrupted my focus, and that sucked for learning. That just didn't work. I couldn't learn as well. And then I figured out I did research, I learned from mentors how to actually improve my focus, and that has been literally so good for learning. There are times when I know no one's perfect all the time, but there are times when I'm literally almost learning like a wolf. You're literally just so switched on and alert, and everything goes into you. You're 100% present, and that's a beautiful learning experience, and you learn so efficiently. So yeah, the reason you can't focus is pretty straightforward. You've never trained it to be better, and actually you've also trained it to be worse, that's worse than doing nothing. So yeah, your whole life you've basically destroyed your attention span. That's kind of how the modern world works. You don't read enough. All you consume is probably, maybe not everything, but you consume too much TikTok and all this other garbage, even if you're not doing it on purpose. Even I do it just by seeing, when you scroll through YouTube, for example, the videos kind of start playing on the thumbnail, and just random, everything is kind of taking away from your attention span if you're on the internet and that kind of thing. And you also don't feel your ambition likely and kick goals like human beings are meant to. I think people are meant to write goals down and achieve them. Nothing makes me happier, and I think everyone is the same way, even if they don't actually do that, which most people don't. So yeah, this is essentially how you improve your focus and reward yourself, basically, because improving your focus not only will help you with learning a language, but it will help you with all parts of your life. But in the context of learning a language, if you can improve your focus, you will learn so much quicker. I know people talk about, oh, how do I learn it? How do I learn? I literally typed in, how do I learn Italian or whatever, and one of the autofills was in 3 days, which is just stupid. But that just shows how people are, right? People want to learn things quickly. People want the cheat code. People want the shortcut. Unfortunately, there is no cheat code. The next best thing is common sense advice and things that people maybe don't talk about because common sense is uncommon. And yeah, focus is one of the biggest things, if not the biggest thing. So here is the video on it, part 1. There's 2 parts of this video. So part 1 is eliminating negative factors. This is basically about you getting rid of things that are going to destroy your focus. Part 2 is about improving your focus. So this is about removing the negative parts first. Negative factors can be defined as things destroying your focus. And there's A, which is destroying high stimulating activities. That's meant to be HSA. I don't know who changed that. Someone must have gone onto my laptop. I don't know. That are probably dominating your life, and also kill the poor study habits that are likely stopping you concentrating like a scholar. So, destroying high stim activities. almost everyone has a damaged attention span, and this is because of consistent high stim activities. So not all high stim activities are bad. We're actually going to talk about some good ones later, like exercise, martial arts, things that are high stim but help you concentrate. In this section, we're going to be talking about the high stim activities that don't help you concentrate. So constant consumption of TikToks, YouTube Shorts, insert anything else that's even remotely similar to that, potentially games of a sort, and other rubbish on the internet equals a wrecked mental reward system. So what that actually does to you is you're used to watching short form content and just short hits of dopamine. It entertains you for a little bit, and what that does is you can't actually concentrate on anything for longer. I've actually noticed, as someone who doesn't watch a lot of TikTok, I don't have TikTok, you know what I mean, as someone who doesn't do that, occasionally when I catch myself, okay, for the last 2 days, I've watched probably too many YouTube Shorts or whatever, I actually find it more difficult to read. Like I'm reading Goldfinger at the moment, which is a James Bond novel. If you've read that, shout out to you, I guess. But I struggle to read the first page because just randomly, because I had watched too many YouTube Shorts that day. And that's someone who isn't desensitized to it, because I just don't do it that much. So even after a little bit of exposure, I found it more difficult to read. I wasn't even tired or anything. So that is the effect that these things have on you. It really isn't talked about enough, I think. I mean, to be fair, like, knowledge of cigarettes about how bad they were didn't come in until decades later. So I do think this kind of knowledge of short form content and stuff won't come in scientifically until later, even though it is coming in now. It won't be fully understood and, I guess, taught as well for decades. But I truly think it is actually bad for you. It's not good for your brain and your concentration. So yeah, if you agree with me, comment down below. If you disagree with me, honestly, that's fine, and you can justify why. If that would be great as well, because I'm very open to learning. I'm not an arrogant person, so yeah, I'd love to see why you would disagree, but I truly do think it's bad for you. So to focus better, you need to cut things down. Ideally, cut them out, but reduce them is the best thing you can do. And yeah, so actionable step. Each of these is going to have an actionable step as well. I'd like you to write these down. I'm going to summarize all four at the end of the video if you want to wait till then, but ideally you do all these. And you won't improve your focus unless you do these actionable steps. You can say, oh, I'm not going to write it down, I'm not going to do this. That's it. Honestly, it's just going to suck for you if you don't. I'm trying to help you. You can't watch a video like this wanting to improve your focus and not listen. So have some humility, and ideally, yeah, you can do all of these things. There's not really a reason why you can't. So actionable step: 1 week detox from short form rubbish. Deep down, you know what's bad for you. So obviously, I can't write everything that's bad for you that's short form, but you kind of know. Don't cheat yourself. I think you know with most things. So cut out the YouTube Shorts, cut out the TikToks. Either use your willpower or disable it. You can disable YouTube Shorts. There's different ways to do it depending on the device you're on. If you just clear a whole row of them, that kind of removes them. No TikToks. You don't have to delete the app, but just don't use it. Don't look at it. Phone permanently on silent. That's easy. Flick it on silent and don't take it off silent and have it sitting next to you. You can flick it off silent to check your messages, but that's it. Try not to check your messages too much as well. And ideally, you chuck it in another room, which is what I do, or flush it down the toilet, but you don't have to do that. Set a limit to the number of times you can check social media as well. So I get it, you want to check your Instagram. Don't be scrolling through it, but you can check messages or whatever, especially if you're expecting an important message. Obviously, that comes above all of this. If you're expecting a call from your great-grandma, that's fine. But yeah, use your brain, don't cheat the process. This will help you. I know it's frustrating, but you would not believe the boost you get after a week of doing this. And then after a week, honestly, you probably might not even want to go back. So if you don't want to go back after a week, stay like that. This is basically what I do. I don't have TikTok. I try not to watch YouTube Shorts. It's probably the only one I'm guilty of. My phone is permanently on silent. I've actually gone into settings and disabled notifications for basically every app, so I don't even need to look at it. And I usually leave my phone in a different room in the house when I'm studying. And I also set I don't even have a limit because I just don't check stuff. I don't feel the urge to. But obviously it wasn't always that day. I did used to kind of have to monitor that. But yeah, and yeah, trust me, doing this for a week will build you mentally 2 times at least. I don't know why I wrote 2. It's probably more like 5. But yeah, that's just getting into semantics. It will boost your focus. 1B, kill poor studying habits. So we've talked about how you need to eliminate high stimulating activities that are going to destroy your focus. You also need to kill poor studying habits. So if you're studying like an idiot, basically, which most people do, I still do sometimes after enormous improvement, you're not helping yourself focus. You are putting things in your way that distract you. So here is what you need to do to develop good study habits. It does start before you actually study. So get everything on hand you know you'll need. I'll have a link in the description because I've actually done a previous video on the resources you need for language learning. But yeah, you need to have all of these things on hand before you study. I believe in kind of, if you get up right, for example, and you have to go get stuff, touch stuff, do other stuff to bring resources to you when you're in the middle of studying, that distracts you because you have a certain amount of like focus energy, and when you have to go do something else, there's residue. So when you have to get up and go do something else and come back, you've left a bit of that focus energy residue behind, and that's gone. So you're not going to focus as well. That's just how I see it, because it's how I feel, and I think you should believe that too. So have everything on hand before you do this. You can make a list, or you can just make a mental list. I will have a link in the description to another video for language learning. I'd highly recommend you watch it. All of the things you need basically for language learning. I'd also recommend you study in blocks. So what that means is set an allocated time for studying. So for example, say you're going to get up at 6, for example, or 7, doesn't matter, and you're going to study for half an hour and then have breakfast. That's excellent. That's honestly fantastic. So you set yourself that time, you get up, you're groggy, whatever, you sit down and you do some whatever, you watch some videos of people talking and you listen to an audiobook, maybe you read, or maybe you read at night. So that kind of, you set yourself a start time and a finish time, and you just work for them. Maybe not at night, because that's more like relaxing reading at night. But when you're studying, you set yourself a block and you do not take breaks. Again, that kind of goes back to that concentration residue thing I mentioned. Ideally, you don't even take breaks to go to the toilet, for example. You can have a water bottle next to you to drink water, but don't be getting up and getting it. And honestly, I try not to drink water because, again, it just distracts you. I need to buy a camera that can actually film myself properly. I might film myself studying, just completely candid, me studying in the morning for maybe like an hour. You'd probably think I was insane, because I literally just get up out of bed. I'm not going to film myself sleeping, obviously. Get up and just work, and I just don't do anything else. Like, I will literally, it's creepy. It's terrifying, because I will just work. So yeah, I've written sweat, cry, and bleed on the table. You must have discipline and force yourself to study. If you're bleeding, I give you permission to chuck a band-aid on it if it's bad enough. If it needs a band-aid, don't get up. If it needs bandages, then you can maybe get up. That's my rule. Follow it, or you won't focus. But yeah, have a routine as well. So potentially you study. This is just randomly made up. You study grammar rules and previous mistakes in the morning, and check the news, and you maybe watch some dialogue while you're eating food. You can watch a video of people speaking. Like, side note, there's tons of videos. You know how people just go around and ask questions in the street? You can find them in every language. You can find them. I've watched them in French, Italian, Spanish, Russian, but they're in everything. Definitely, for sure. Unless you're learning like some obscure language spoken by a village or whatever. But they have them in everything. So you can watch those while you're eating, and then maybe you read 5 pages before bed, something like that. Reading's really good at night, I've found. I don't particularly like reading as soon as I wake up because I'm a bit groggy. But yeah. Eliminate all distractions as well. So phone on silent isn't even good enough while you're studying. Put it in another room or destroy it. Honestly, if I could have a flip phone, like drug dealer phone, I'll probably go back to that because it would distract me less. But yeah, that's just me. So actionable step, I'd like you to pause the video and write down all the things you know distract you. So this is actionable step number 2. You can do it at the end if you really want to, but you must do it. Don't watch this and not do it. So I want you to write out all the things that distract you while you're studying. Phone, family, pioneering the internet, which is where you go to look something up and then you go on a tangent looking at things. Sheer boredom, checking your emails, literally the weather or the animals outside. Maybe you need to go sit somewhere else while you're studying. Anything that can distract you. And then I want you to write out a solution for each one. Do a few. Don't do one and pretend you're perfect. You're not. I'm not even perfect. I could write out like 10. So I want you to write out at least 3. That's me going easy on you. You can write out 3 things that distract you and how to beat them. And don't cheat yourself. The better you do at this, the better it's going to help you. I did this a while ago, and I still review it to make sure I am concentrating. But yeah, that's how you kill poor studying habits. There's obviously a million more things I can add to all of these points, but that is the basics. And if you implement all of those things, you just sit there, you just work like an animal. Even if you set yourself a small amount of time to study, even if you set yourself a 15-minute study block because you're a beginner, that is fine. If you just sit there and work for 15 minutes and just push yourself through, don't reward yourself in the middle of the study block. That comes at the end. You just work. That is what you need to do. But yeah, part 2. So part 1, as I said before, was getting rid of negative factors. Part 2 is about improving positive factors. So positive factors are different because they are things that enhance your focus, so you want to have positive factors. Surprise, surprise. If you have a grasp of the English language, you could probably assume that based on the word positive. But yeah, max the environmental factors that can boost your focus, and also train yourself to focus like a monk. Not literally a monk, but yeah, we'll get into it. Alright, so 2A, max environmental factors. Environmental factors are things that impact your mental state. So sleep, diet, environment, temperament, literally anything like that. And these things are going to influence how you learn. You can't focus properly if you don't have all these things on point, and ideally you go beyond on point so you can actually boost your focus. So sleep, 8 hours minimum. Obviously, if you're sleep deprived, you're not actually going to be able to focus properly, so you need to be sleeping properly. Some people are crazy, they go to bed at like midnight or after midnight consistently. If you go to bed the next day instead of when you should be going to bed at night, I think there is something wrong with you. So yeah, that needs to change. If you're watching this late at night, this is the only time you can turn this video off. If you're watching this late at night, I want you to turn it off and go to bed. Watch it in the morning, that's not okay. Late at night, in my opinion, is after. You shouldn't be watching videos at night, but if you're watching this after 9 o'clock, I'm ordering you to turn the video off and dislike it because it is stopping you from focusing. Okay? So 8 hours in bed as well doesn't equal 8 hours of sleep. Yeah, 8 hours in bed does not equal 8 hours of sleep, so make sure you are going to bed. You need to be in bed for more than 8 hours to have that 8 hours of sleep. Cut back on caffeine after noon, that's not good for you. And ideally set a bedtime. I know that sounds silly, but yeah, you need to be making sure you're going to sleep consistently. When you go to bed changes day to day, you're going to have kind of a messed up sleep schedule, and no screens before bed, no anything before bed that's going to stop you from going to sleep. So yeah, and if you do need to check your phone or whatever because it's important, have a blue light filter on because that stops you. That's better for your eyes. It's not going to wake you up as much. Having light shine in your eye is going to wake you up. We're diurnal creatures. We are awake in the light and we go to sleep at night in the dark. So yeah, don't have that shining in your face. Diet as well. If your diet sucks, you can't focus. This is the thing that's proven. So ideally you clean up your diet. You focus better if you eat healthy foods like fatty fish, eggs, nuts, fruit, those kind of things. You will literally sharpen your focus. I've noticed that. And again, as I mentioned with what was I talking about before? With the YouTube Shorts thing where I did it, like just had a bad day of watching them and then I couldn't focus. Obviously, I have bad days of eating as well and I find I can't focus afterwards. So you need to clean that up as well. That's way too broad to talk about in this video, but yeah. You kind of know what's healthy and what isn't. So ideally you do that as well. It does actually help you focus. I remember seeing something. I don't watch shows like this, but I just saw something. I think that the show was Death Note, and the detective in it was eating like really sugary food, and then some YouTuber said, "Oh, this is good for your brain. It helps you focus because it's high calories or whatever." It's not. It doesn't help you focus. That's rubbish. So you need to eat healthy if you're focusing on things. That's just a given. And yeah, cut out all the highly processed foods, alcohol, whatever. Those things are going to stop you from being sharp. So yeah. Also, I would advise, obviously, going completely clean is you don't have to do that, but ideally, if you're going to have a treat, you have it at the end of the day, because if you have it at the start of the day, it's going to interfere with your focus, whereas if you have it at the end of the day, it's whatever, it's the last thing you're eating, so that's really okay, because you're not doing anything important after that, you just go to bed. So yeah, environment as well, so different people study better in different places. The best place to study isn't always a desk. You might study better in literally wherever. It can be outside. You might need a standing desk. You might study better nomadically. A lot of people are like that, where they like to move between different places depending on how they feel and the time of day and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'd recommend if you a person who gets up early, going outside is really good. Getting that light into your eyes wakes you up, and that's really all there is to it. You kind of need to figure out where you study best. I know I study well at a desk. Not particularly well outside, but I don't mind going outside early in the morning. That's me. Yeah, for the actionable step for this one, there are unlimited environmental factors, literally. So I want you to write down one thing that helps you study, and you know what to do with that. You know to implement it. But yeah. 2B, training for focus. So focusing is a skill. Like any skill, it needs to be trained. So if you have poor focus, obviously we've mentioned how negative factors can damage that over time, and they likely are. They still do for me. Unfortunately, you can't eliminate them. But as far as training goes, you probably haven't actually trained yourself to focus better. So that's something you need to do. And the way you train yourself to focus better, there's two kind of ways to do it. So we've mentioned high stim activities, low stim activities. Also, low stim activities are the opposite. Say, don't constantly bombard you with dopamine and that kind of thing and hot, blah, 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 in your face. They improve your focus because you actually have to concentrate on something. They're not as dopamine hitting you in the face, like a YouTube short, that kind of thing. So low stim activities could be reading, audiobooks, meditation, long form content. There's also things like crosswords, Sudoku, anything like that, memorization games. card games, board, literally things like that. You know, I'm not going to do a list of 100 different things. They can be kind of relaxing, some of them, but they also require attention, so they improve your focus. Reading is probably the best one. I've noticed a lot of people literally just can't read. They actually struggle to read, and that's not because of a disability or anything. They actually just don't have good focus, which is why I think those YouTube shorts and that kind of thing is so bad, and it's bad that they don't get talked about, because I've literally seen it. A lot of my people I know can't read books. They literally have to put it down because they can't focus. So yeah, that's bad. I'd also, the other thing that can help as well, you have to be careful, is hyperactive activities. So some high stim activities can be good. These aren't the YouTube short type things. They're more like martial arts, sports, those kind of things where you have to focus intently. So they're good for your brain, they give you dopamine, but they require discipline because you have to force yourself. There's physical exertion, and you get that kind of attention span training as well. So those are good too. Something else as well, which doesn't ever get talked about with language learning, I think I might be the first person in history to connect these two things, but something in the gym, there is a term called progressive overload, which is basically in the gym when you're lifting weights, right? You gradually make it harder, heavier, you do longer sets over time, and that's how you get stronger, because you get used to it, so you up the weight. That is kind of what you need to do with training your focus or anything. I think that's a good principle for learning anything. So with languages or with studying, you need to progressive overload. So when you set yourself, like in this 2B training for focus, for example, if you're meditating for 3 minutes, maybe after a week you push it up to 4. If you are doing reading 5 pages a night, you push it up to 10, or maybe further, or not that far. It's up to you. So yeah, you do need to kind of push yourself further. You don't just do a little bit and then stop there, give up afterwards, or keep it the same, because you're not going to improve anymore after that. You need to keep pushing yourself. So that's almost, I think, all there is to it. The actionable step, I'd say, you set yourself one task that you know will improve your focus. Reading before bed is a great one if you're not sure, just literally 5 pages. And it's not even hard to do. You just read a book before bed. It actually will kind of help you go to sleep, and it's much better than watching videos or anything like that. So yeah, I'd do that. Make sure you're reading daily. Ideally, doing some kind of reading in the language is really good. I mentioned that in my video, that I'm going to have a link in the description. Track your study time as well. That's how you kind of progressive overload and build and do more studying than you've done before, not just kind of guessing, I'm going to do a little bit more. You actually write down the blocks you're studying and set a timer, that kind of thing. Yeah, and stay disciplined. You can't just write stuff down and not do it. You have to stick to it. Unfortunately, that's how it works. So yeah, be disciplined and stick to it. I think that's everything, almost. So to summarise the 4 actionable steps: 1 week detox from attention-spanning activities. You can rewind, attention-destroying activities, sorry. You can rewind the video and have a look at that if these or any of them if you need to. Write down everything you know distracts you as well, number 2, and eliminate them. Write down at least one thing that helps you study and implement that, and then set yourself a brain training task and commit to it for at least a week, ideally forever, and you keep adding them on. But yeah, that's good. That's everything. If you do all 4 of those things, you're going to be absolutely smashing it, and you can obviously keep improving, but that's ideal for now. So just to close, improving your focus is the best thing you can do to learn languages faster, so you should become the best student possible and improve your focus. This is something that's really important to me because I've done it personally. I'm not just making stuff up. I have improved my focus. I've done everything in this video and more, way more, and yeah, I'm an excellent learner now. I can say that with full authority and confidence, and I'm not being arrogant. I actually am a good learner because I've improved my focus, and there's no reason not to. People who can improve their focus are able to lock in and perform at a much higher level. It's actually crazy seeing the difference, and it's crazy looking back and seeing how I used to be and how bad I was. It's almost like I don't even understand how I did that, because now it's just easy to focus. It's the right way. So yeah, that's all. For those learning to learn language as well, I would recommend my website, Head of State Language Learning. I'm currently working on it. It is completely free, and it has most of the most common languages, resources on all of them that you can just go through. So if you're learning Spanish, for example, you can click on that, go through to the section you're up to, or start at the beginning if you haven't actually started yet, and just find resources that will help you with everything. And in theory, you can go through and learn everything in the language through there, obviously with practice and time. But yeah, it's currently not fully developed, but if you want to have a look at it, I'd appreciate that. I'll have a link in the description. And yeah, you're welcome to give me any feedback on that. Obviously, don't say where is everything, because I've just warned you it's not fully there. But yeah, you can give me feedback on the design if you want, or tell me anything you want me to put in it. I'm happy to do that. Also, I am planning on doing a Q&A for 100 subscribers. We might even get to 200 before I actually have enough questions to do it. So if you have any questions, by all means, comment them down below. Say you want it in the Q&A video. It can be about the channel. It can be about me, language learning. Anything is above board, within reason. within reason. Read into that how you want. But yeah, like and subscribe as well, guys. It does make me feel better because I do put in a lot of effort to help you. Yeah, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. And do the actionable steps. Don't walk away and not do them, because I'll find you. I'll know if you haven't done them, alright? You've been warned. Have a good one.